it's way harder to touch the third rail than you fear. So relax and just say it. When I was a kid, I had heard about the third rail, which is it's this electrified rail that powers the trains. Your queen has lowly beginnings as a suburban girl. So um, I didn't even ride the subway until I was like in my mid 20s. And when I did, I had worked up this idea that touching the third rail is like super dangerous and like it's super easy. Like any, like misplaced step or you don't, mind the gap right and you're gonna like fall in and you're gonna touch the third rail and you're gonna be electrocuted. So in real life, the third rail is, yeah, this electrified rail that it has like a really high voltage, lethal levels if you touch it unprotected. Um, and so, yeah, I was super afraid of touching the third rail. And then I grow up, I go to New York, and I realize it's actually way harder to touch the third rail than I feared. I really thought I was going to have to be like aware of my balance, make sure I wasn't near anyone so they wouldn't like shove me onto it. And like, it's actually super difficult to get on the third rail. It's far away. You have to like get down. You'd have to go over. Even if I was pushed, the chances are that I would not get, I wouldn't reach the, third rail. It's just such a thing that actually isn't an issue. It isn't even something I should be afraid of. So the other way we hear about touching the third rail is when people are like afraid of talking about something, some political or social issue, that they're afraid if they even touch it, it's going to be fatal for their career, for their social standing, for whatever. Something bad is going to happen if they talk about this thing. It's a third rail. You touch it, fatal, instantly electrocuted. But what if it's the same thing? What if we all grew up thinking that the likelihood and the threat of touching the third rail is actually much more overblown than it actually is? I find that every time I talk about a topic that could be considered a third rail, the genocide of the Palestinians by the only Jewish state, lots of things, but that's what I like to go with. I found that not only does nothing happen, if anything, I was like expecting there to be this big blowback, but everyone else is just like, they're too afraid to touch it. So nothing happens. And so, another thing I was thinking of, the point of the third rail on trains is not to not touch it. The purpose of the third rail is to use it to power us forward. That is literally why you have a third rail. It is electrified and it powers the train forward. And so socially, linguistically, a third rail issue is not something that you're not supposed to touch. It's something that when touched correctly, it will move us all forward. Ooh, that's so brilliant, Sheba. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I'm also getting the idea that not only, I'm getting like, you're the third rail. The person who is willing to talk about the third rail topic, you have now electrified yourself. You can move us all forward by talking about it, and other people can't touch you. You're the third rail. The third rail doesn't have to be afraid of touching itself. The third rail is just like, oh, great, everyone's staying away from me, and everyone relies on me. I move everyone forward. Without me, the third rail, these hoes would just be waiting in this hot ass subway station. So the point of the third rail is not to not touch it. Obviously, in order to lay the third rail and, service it, keep it functioning, you have to touch it, but you have to do it with in the right way. You got to come correct. Okay. You can't just like, boop, boop, stumble onto a third rail. You got to like probably put on proper gloves, and you got to have training, and you got to know how to approach the third rail. But the third rail is just doing its job. being electrifying, being powerful. And so that is you, my love. You are the third rail. You are this powerful source of electrifying energy that moves us forward. And so you can handle the third rail. You know how to approach it. You're not just going to flippantly, use it and like brush by it, officially. You are an expert. You're skilled. You're a specialist. So your job is to harness the third rail issue and move us forward. Teach us that, hey, the third rail doesn't just exist for you to not touch it and to be afraid of it and to be like, oh, I'm not even going to touch that third rail issue. The third rail exists to power us forward, to power us to move in the direction that we want to go. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Sheba. I'm a transformation specialist, shadow alchemist, and ex-lawyer, and I help powerful, visionary, highly successful women and cycle breakers unleash their true selves, walk in purpose as divine disruptors, and create the life of their dreams. So, what is the third rail issue that, you're called to think about it, to talk about it with close friends, to kind of, maybe write about it in your journal or something. But what is the issue that you're afraid if you talk about with other people, if you speak about publicly? Instant, career suicide, instant, social suicide. What is that issue? Because I'm here to tell you, it's much harder to touch it and electrify yourself than you are making it, than you fear. And the purpose of the third rail, again, is not to never touch it and to be afraid of it and to dance around the third rail issue. Oh, we're just going to never talk about the Jewish supremacy and the only Jewish state committing a horrific genocide in Palestine using American tax dollars, paying all this money for propaganda and taking over our political processes to ensure that they can continue to do this like horrific Holocaust. Oh my God. We're going to just not talk about that because you're afraid of being electrified? Babe, you are someone who absorbs, you're a conductor. I think that's what that means. You are a conductor. Oh my God, I'm thinking about it in so many different ways. You are a conductor of electricity. Electricity flows into you and you conduct it. Oof. You're the plug because you're connected to the source of power. So you don't have to be worried. Like you're the conductor. You're the train conductor. The train conductor isn't terrified about the third rail. The train conductor understands how to harness the power of the third rail to move everybody forward, to take everybody where we want to go, to make our lives easier, to make our lives more fulfilling, more enjoyable. So what is that issue? It's lots of them. We've been conditioned that there are lots of third rail issues that we can't even talk about. Religion, trauma, men's violence, Israeli violence, white supremacy, intraracial violence, the self-limiting, self-sabotaging, our shadow, our own shadow. What are the third rail issues that you have learned, like, oh, I don't want to touch it. It's too easy to, electrify yourself, and just don't even touch it. What are those issues? Because the point of those issues, the third rail issues, is not to never touch it. It's to approach it correctly so that you can harness the power and move us all forward. Okay? And again, you are the conductor. You are the electricity. You are the channeler of this powerful energy. Okay, so the third rail, it's a high voltage, electrifying, powerful thing that moves the train. which is a vehicle to move humans where they want to go. So third rail issues are the same thing. You're not supposed to just like, oh, dance around them and be afraid of them and not ever touch it. You're supposed to harness it correctly and move us all forward. It's supposed to empower us to move forward. That's so brilliant, Sheebs. God damn it. I love that. And yeah, you are the third rail. You are the conductor and you are the third rail and you are the source. You're the electricity. You're all of it, okay? So you can't be afraid to say it. You can't be afraid of the third rail. The third rail doesn't exist for us to fear it. It exists for us to harness its power. So what is the third rail issue that you know you have to harness in order to drive us all forward, empower us to move forward to where we want to go? What is that third rail issue? And, you know, grow up. Like, it's not as scary or as easy to just like stumble onto the third rail like an idiot. You're not an idiot. You don't have to be worried about the third rail like you have been. You don't have to be worried about this third rail issue like you have been. You are going to, you'll see, you will naturally handle it with more care, with more thoughtfulness. You know, you're not going to fumble it and be flippant about it. And we're all going to be really grateful for you, because when you show yourself that actually it's not as scary as I thought it was, it's actually much easier. It's fun even to talk about this thing. It's fun to be on trains. People make their whole freaking identity about like liking trains. Okay. You can make your whole identity about whatever the third rail issue is that we have spent generations now avoiding. We're afraid to touch it. But it's here to be harnessed. The third rail issue is here to be harnessed. And you're the conductor, babe. And you're the electricity. You're the conductor and the electricity. So you don't have to be afraid of touching the third rail. So just say it. Just say it. All right. I've delivered the message. Let me know what you think, okay? Like, comment, and subscribe. You stick with me. The journey of Sheba. Oh my gosh, is that from, I think that's boob sweat. It is so hot today. So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And as you stay with me, you are going to see how I became the woman who went from easily making $5,000 every month to effortlessly making $100,000 every single month. And I did that in part by getting over my fear of touching the third rail. Socially, linguistically, you know, don't go stumbling onto the third rail, okay? In real life, I don't want to see that, but I do want to see you harnessing the power of the third rail and moving us all forward, okay? All right, my darlings, I've delivered the message. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll talk to you Earth Angels tomorrow, okay? Love you.